Another story told how in the scale goodwill beyond mere knowledge would prevail. In paradise the angel Gabriel heard the lips of Allah trembling with the word of perfect acceptation, and he thought, some perfect faith such perfect answer wrought, but whose? And therewith slipping from the crypt of Sidra, through the angel ranks he slipped, watching what lip yet trembled with the shot that so had hit the mark, but found it not. Then in a glance to earth he threaded through mosque, palace, cell, and cottage of the true belief, in vain. So back to heaven went, and Allah's lips still trembling with assent. Then the tenacious angel once again threaded the ranks of heaven and earth in vain, to once again return to paradise. There looking unto gods, the angel's eyes beheld the prayer that brought that benison, rising like incense from the lips of one who to an idol bowed as best he knew, under that false god, worshipping the true. And then came others, whom the summons found, not wholly sick indeed, but far from sound, whose light inconsistent soul alternative flew from saint to sinner, and to both untrue, who like a niggard tailor tried to match truth's single garment with the worldly patch, a dangerous game for striving to adjust the hesitating scale of either lust. That which had least within it upward flew, and still the weightier to the earth down drew. And while suspended between rise and fall, apt with a shaking hand to forfeit all, there was a queen of Egypt like the bride of night, full moon-faced and canopus-eyed, with whom one among the meanest of her crowd loved, and she knew it, for he loved aloud, and sent for him, and said, thou lovest thy queen, now therefore thou hast this to choose between, fly for life, or for this one night wed thy queen, and with the sunrise lose thy head. He paused, he turned to fly, she struck him dead, for he had truly loved his queen, said she. He would at once have given his life for me, and life and wife had carried, but he lied, and loving only life has justly died. And then came one who, having cleared his throat with sanctimonious sweetness in his note, thus lisped, behold, I languish from the first, with passionate and unrequited thirst of love for more than any mortal bird. Therefore have I withdrawn me from the herd, to pine in solitude, but thou at last hast drawn a line across the dreary past, and sure I am by foretaste that the wine I long for and thou tellest of shall be mine. But he was sternly checked, I tell thee this, such boast is no assurance of such bliss. Thou canst not even fill the sail of prayer, unless from him breathe that authentic air that shall lift up the curtain that divides his lover from harem where he hides. And the fulfillment of thy vows must be not from thy love for him, but his for thee. The third night after FitzGerald had died, one saw him in a dream at his bedside, and said, thou FitzGerald, tell me, O pyre, how fared it there with Munkar and Nakir? Then FitzGerald replied, when from the grave they met me rising, and if Allah's slave asked me, are collared with the chains of hell, I said not I, but God alone can tell. My passion for his service were but fond ambition, had not he approved the bond, Had he not round my neck the collar thrown, and told me in the number of his own, and that he only knew what signifies 100 years of prayer if none replies. But said another, then shall none the seal of acceptation on his forehead feel, ere the grave yield them on the other side, where all is settled. But the chief replied, enough for us to know that who is meet shall enter with unreproved feet, even as he might upon the waters walk, the presence room, and in the presence talk, with such unbridled license as shall seem to the uninitiated to blaspheme. Remember that niggard is stingy, has nothing to do with a similar word. People may say something and they have said something like that. So, that's why I make that comment. And in the tarot, the Queen of Swords is like the personifications of Shiva, which aren't really Shiva. These names of God, the individual, the personages and the images aren't the real being. They're not the real God. They're a reference. There's something that people refer to God with, and sometimes there's like an angel or something else in that place. But